Let's take a deeper dive into the U.S. Mint's financial statement from 2024. But before we do, let's get a couple of definitions out of the way. Cost of goods sold. Basically, this is any cost that's associated with making a product. So your raw materials, your labor, those are your two big ones. There's some other items that can be included into that cost of good. So the other cost factor that's looked at is your SG&A, or your selling and general administrative expenses. And typically, this is your salaries, wages, benefits for executives and staff not directly involved in manufacturing or other production tasks. So this is your management and maybe your maintenance guy that's working on various items, your presses and whatnot. So it's the support staff to actually manufacture the item. And then here's a list of the other things. Again, these two definitions are boilerplate. So this is like a 10,000 foot view of the various programs. There's three with the U.S. Mint. So you got your circulating coinage, your bullion, and numismatic. So here we go. The cost of goods sold for your circulating coinage, cost of goods sold is at 66.29%. Industry standard, in my past with manufacturing, you wanted to get this number between, we always targeted around 35%, but it's pretty typical to have this go as high as, say, 50 or 60%. Your SG&A, your other overhead, your executives, like I had mentioned, same type thing. You want to keep this at a top end of around 30%. And with the circulating coinage, overall, it's generating enough to support the program, obviously at 17.98% profit. Your bullion, your cost of goods sold is up to 96%, but this is not surprising. With a profit of only 1.73%, real low overhead for management. Basically, they're making this at cost, the cost of the silver and the gold for them to make the parts and then sell it off to the authorized purchasers, who then sell it to us at a premium. Again, this is your proof gold, your proof silver, your mint and proof sets of the quarter program. So your cost of goods sold, 67%. SG&A, a little heavy at 23%. But your overall profit is 8.96%, so it's not too bad. 10,000 foot view, like I said, profit margin of 5.39%. Not terrible. But when we break this down by item, this is where it gets interesting. And what's in the news, particularly today, over the past weekend, or actually from yesterday, with the president stating that he wants to stop production of the pennies or the cents. This is why it's generating a lot. It's a negative 269% profit. Your cost of goods sold is at 302%. So it costs 3 times as much for the materials to make the penny than they're worth. And then you throw in the management overhead at 66%. I don't know what's going on here. This really confuses me. Why it is so out of whack for both the cents and the nickels. Nickels are in the same boat. However, with the nickels, they've got something they could do there. I mean, it's made with copper and nickel, and they can play around and make that with a different composition. But then you get into the weights and then the vending industry and that whole can of worms that opens up. But at least there's an option there for them to reduce the cost to try to make that so it's not such a huge hit on the program. Your dimes are sitting pretty good. Actually, the dimes, quarters, and half dollars are sitting great, both with your cost of goods sold and your SG&A. And this is what is supporting these profits here, is what's supporting the drain that the cents and the nickels are doing. Go to your bullion. This is not surprising. It's the cost of the silver and the gold. The overhead with your administrative staff is extremely low. So your profit margins are real low, but you're at least making a little bit. You're not losing money on it. The numismatic section, this one's another one that's confusing in a couple areas. Your gold, palladium, and platinum proofs. Not surprising that your materials, raw materials, is your heavy hitter there. But even still, you're making a decent profit. Your silver proofs, your silver eagles, quarters, and so forth, anything that's silver that they make. Again, this is extremely good. Now, your proof in your mint sets, materials 78%, and your overhead, management overhead, is 72%. This is another one that's a head scratcher. I don't understand this. Why, with your mint and proof sets, your quarter program, so here's your American Women's Quarters, you got an overhead of 66%, which is why both those programs are losing money. Commemoratives seem to be holding their own. I don't know what is in this miscellaneous category, but whatever it is, they need to get rid of it. Huge drain, although the dollars aren't much. Not a good program. American Innovation, they're not going to do anything with this. I don't think that they're going to cut a program off halfway through. But it's still, I don't understand why we have such heavy administrative costs on your quarter program, your mint and proof sets, and your cents and your nickels. It doesn't make any sense. It's completely out of whack with the norm of what's going on. It's kind of a head scratcher. And on financial report doesn't break things down into further detail. Now, the financial statement that they do put out towards the end of the report, there is also a detailed balance sheet. Now, I am not an accountant to be able to dig into this and explain it with any clarity. Maybe there's an accountant out there that can take a look at it, but I don't think it's going to actually break down what we're looking for as far as the overhead goes for your SG&A. But there is an additional set of information that's provided by the Mint. Now, one other thing I wanted to throw in is as far as the cents go, I did a little bit of digging, and it appears the last time that a penny cost less than a penny to manufacture was back in 2004. I believe it cost like 0.83 cents or something like that. And then starting in 2005 all the way up to current, so for the last 20 years, it has cost more to make the cents than what they're worth face value, which is what they sell these for to the Fed at as face value, which is how they generate a profit to be able to support the nickels and the cents. But again, the head scratcher, as I mentioned, is why are the overhead for the cents and the nickels and these other numismatic programs so out of whack with the rest of their programs? Boy, that's a big question. I don't know, and they don't explain it. So I hope this explained a few things and maybe give you a little bit further light as to why the president has directed the Treasury to have the Mint stop making sense until they can probably dig into that and figure out what's going on. Until next time, 73.